Hello and welcome back to Too Many Books. My name is Sean, and today I'd like to talk to you about Legion by William Peter Blatty, the sequel to The Exorcist that I had been putting off on reading for quite some time. This particular edition that I'm showcasing here in the video is the numbered edition from Suntup, but there are plenty of editions out there. I'll talk more about the details for this edition once I'm done talking about the novel itself. Now, The Exorcist is one of my favorite novels of all time. I mean, William Peter Blatty has just a remarkable way with prose and a way of getting under your skin with The Exorcist, and it sticks with you. But Legion is one of those books that I've never gotten around to reading, mostly because I didn't want to tarnish The Exorcist in hindsight. And I hate to say that I wasn't overly thrilled with Legion. It's not a bad read, and William Peter Blatty's prose is still exceptional. It's just boring compared to The Exorcist. It's kind of one of those novels that makes you ask, like, why does this exist? I mean, according to the introduction here from William Peter Blatty's son, Michael Peter Blatty, he didn't want to, make a sequel for the benefit of the studios themselves and wanted to do it on his own terms, which is how Legion came to be. But I really just don't think that's necessarily true. Like, this novel doesn't feel like it has a solid story to tell. It has the inklings of a story. I mean, it's definitely based on the Zodiac Killer. You can see the inspiration there. It follows Lieutenant Kinderman, who was a minor supporting character in The Exorcist, who's now center stage as your protagonist, as he is investigating a series of gruesome murders that all have the markings of the Gemini Killer, who's very much based on the Zodiac Killer. There's mutilations to the body, missing appendages with the fingers, that all harken back to this Gemini Killer. But it can't be the Gemini Killer, because the Gemini Killer is dead. He saw the Gemini Killer die. So how can this possibly be? To make things more confusing, the fingerprints found at all of these crime scenes do not match. And the key suspects in some of these murders don't seem physically capable of committing these crimes. One of them is a priest who is brutally killed in a confessional, and those who are there in the church who could have possibly done it don't seem to be likely killers. And so very soon he finds his way back to a hospital where there are all sorts of suspects, and he will soon come face to face with one suspect who is a blast from the past, without going into spoiler details. And he will eventually have to get to the bottom of what is going on and what is behind all of these grisly murders, which is a very interesting concept. It's not bad. It's just, honestly, it's one of the things that hurts it is Kinderman himself. I just don't think Kinderman is a strong protagonist. I mean, he works well in the supporting roles. Putting him front and center, he's just kind of a boring character. He spends he's a very smart man. He's not an incompetent detective by any means, but he spends way too much time waxing poetics with his partner, or getting into theologic conversations, and just William Peter Blatty, who wrote this, is a very smart man, and it's not out of touch with the novel for these conversations to be happening, but it's not adding anything to the narrative. It's not helping things get along with the story. It almost feels like Kinderman is just kind of treading water as he goes from one murder to the next, as he talks to one suspect to the next, from one doctor, from one patient to the next. It's just, he's kind of treading water. And that is ultimately what the biggest problem is. I mean, I'm not going to spoil the ending right now, at least. I will kind of go into a spoiler section at the end of this video, because there is something I do want to talk about. But he's not able to get anywhere. And so throughout this whole plot, he's just kind of there to keep you going from page to page, but not in a very interesting way, until eventually the case the solution is kind of presented to him. And whether you believe this solution or not is up to you. And then eventually, Kinderman himself doesn't even believe this solution until it's eventually laid bare in the final act, and it just kind of resolves itself. Like I said, I'm not gonna go into actual specifics right now. I'm just gonna kind of keep it as vague as possible. But it's disappointing for that sense alone. I mean, yes, there are connections to The Exorcist. Kinderman was in The Exorcist. There's another very, very big connection to The Exorcist, especially in the final act. But it's one of those situations where it didn't need to be. It felt kind of forced in a way. Like, it doesn't tarnish The Exorcist in hindsight, thankfully, but it doesn't add anything as a sequel to The Exorcist. I mean, The Exorcist, through and through, is a horror novel, whereas Legion is more of a detective novel with minimal detective work and minimal scares. I mean, yeah, the deaths are gruesome, but you're always showing up after the fact. You're just seeing the dead bodies. You're never really experiencing the horror firsthand. And so it's a very reactive horror novel, if you want to call it that, which it's not a great sense for a horror novel to have. Which, like I say, it's a shame, because I absolutely love The Exorcist, and I wanted to love this as well. I mean, I will say, like I said, Blatty's prose, exceptional. Like, I mean, even though this is like 70% conversational dialogue, it's done incredibly well. I mean, yeah, there could have been more substance to the plot. There could have been stronger main characters. But I mean, at least, even though the plot is boring, the actual dialogue itself is not boring. Blatty, I mean, it would have failed flat in the hands of another author. But unfortunately, the contents itself don't really shine on their own. So, it's mixed results there. But I mean, yeah, if you're a fan of The Exorcist, you don't necessarily need to read Legion. If you really need to, I mean, by all means, it's not going to ruin The Exorcist for you, but you're really not missing out on much. But anyways, like I said, I will go into spoiler territory in just a moment. But first, let me talk about this edition. This is available wherever trade books are sold. This is not the first limited edition that Legion has received. It's the first limited edition standalone that this title has received. But it was previously given the small press treatment from Cemetery Dance as part of an omnibus that combined The Exorcist with Legion. It had artwork by, oh man, who did the artwork in that one? I don't have that one anymore, and I am suddenly drawing absolute blank. It's very nice black and white artwork. I don't have it to showcase right now, but a link in the description below. I did have a video where I unbox a lettered edition of that, and you will see the black and white artwork and the binding. It's an exceptional edition. And it's signed by Blatty, who, unfortunately was not alive to sign this edition. This edition is available in 3 states. There's the artist edition, which is very affordable for what you're getting. It has the same color artwork from Matt Mahurin. I believe it has a cloth binding. This, being the numbered edition, has quarter bound in leather with marbled boards. It's a very nice production, but unfortunately the story itself kind of falls flat. There's also a lettered edition, which is disgustingly nicer in terms of bindings, although the interiors, I believe, are the same Mohawk superfine paper. This edition is, of course, signed. The artist edition is signed by just Matt Mahurin, who has a terrible signature. The numbered letters are signed by Michael Peter Blatty and Matt Mahurin. There is an errata slip that came with it, indicating that there's 250 numbered copies. It was reduced down from 350. If you want to check out this edition, I will say Michael Peter Blatty's introduction is spectacular. It's a beautiful tribute to his late father. Very touching stuff, which is definitely worth reading on its own. Although I wouldn't say it's necessarily the price of admission on its own, but it's a nice supplement to the read itself. But anyways, thank you very much for watching. If you don't want to watch for some spoilers, be sure to subscribe to the channel here, and we'll see you around next time. If you do want to see spoilers, then, well, you've been warned. So, anyways, the Gemini killer is revealed to have been, the night he was murdered, his soul was taken, by Pazuzu, I suppose, is how they never actually specifically say Pazuzu, but it's indicated as Pazuzu. And it's put into the body of priest Damien Karras, who fell down the Exorcist steps at the end of The Exorcist. So yeah, Damien Karras survived. The Gemini killer's spirit has been put into his body, and he's basically been in a vegetative state for the past decade. But his body very slowly recovered, and now that his recovered is enough, the Gemini killer is leaving his body, possessing elderly patients and strange patients to do the murders, which that part's fine, I suppose. It's annoying that, it's a type of mystery novel where you can't physically solve the mystery because it's magic, it's magic and spiritual nature. But what's annoying is that Kinderman doesn't do anything to stop the Gemini killer. Yeah, everything is kind of laid out in the end of the novel, but the Gemini killer just kind of quits. The spirit of the Gemini killer ends up leaving the body and, finds his work done once his father, the Gemini killer's father, has passed away, which is just such a cop-out. It's one of those things where if you took Kinderman out of this novel altogether, nothing would change with the plot. The Gemini killer would still do his murders, and then his father would die elsewhere, and then he would just die. Which makes me wonder, why did I read this? I guess it was an interesting take on, this sort of Zodiac killer with, some supernatural elements, but it feels like you've wasted your time when you get to the end of it, which is just very disappointing. And like I said, the whole idea of the Gemini killer possessing bodies, sure, that's fine. Another question I had at the end is okay, you're saying that you're stuck in a body that's in a vegetative state, but the spirit's not in a vegetative state. Why can't the spirit possess other people during these months, these years, where the body is unusable? It's not like he physically is using the body during these murders, but whatever. I'm just nitpicking at that point. Like I said, it's an all right read as far as the prose go. It's a great read as far as the prose goes, but it's a pretty lackluster story, so it kind of comes out just a kind of middle of the road read, which is very disappointing. But anyways, if you stuck around this long, thank you very much for watching. If you read it, let me know what you thought in the comments below. Once again, be sure to subscribe to the channel here. I do at least one book review a week. Plenty of unboxing videos in between here and there. But check out Suntup Editions. I hope this isn't the last of William Peter Blatty's works that get the Suntup edition. This is obviously the only other really huge novel. He's had plenty of other novels, many comedy ones early on, plenty that have received Cemetery Dance or Centipede Press editions. But this might be the end of the line for the Suntup ones. But I would hope maybe we might see another William Peter Blatty release in the future, just because he is an exceptional author in his own right. And you can definitely tell the love that Michael Peter Blatty had for his father in the introduction, which, like I said, is a very heartfelt introduction. But anyways, thank you again for watching. Check out Suntup Editions, and we'll see you around next time.